Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very beautiful short story written by Anton Chekhov. The title of the short story is The Lament. Anton Chekhov is a short story writer of Russian origin. Apart from writing short stories, he has also written dramas, non-fictional works and novels. Anton Chekhov's The Lament is a poignant exploration of grief, isolation, and the human need for empathy. The story centers on Iona Petapov, an old cab driver whose son has recently passed away. Iona's overwhelming sorrow permeates every interaction, yet he finds himself unable to share his grief meaningfully with those around him. The story begins on a snowy evening in a bustling city. Iona, frail and ghost like under the accumulating snow, waits for passengers. His horse, equally still and covered in white, mirrors his despondency. An officer eventually hires him, but shows no interest in Iona's sorrow. When he attempts to mention his son's death, the officer, preoccupied and dismissive, represents the cold indifference of the world. The story follows Iona Petapov, a sledge driver in St. Petersburg, who is grieving the recent death of his son. Overwhelmed by his sorrow, Iona attempts to share his pain with the various passengers he ferries through the snowy city. However, none of them show any interest in his suffering. They are either preoccupied with their own concerns or indifferent to his plight. The central character, Iona Petapov, who is old and who is a cab driver and who has lost his son recently in a very sad and dejected mood. Iona's first passenger is an officer. When Iona tries to talk about his son's death, the officer dismisses him with indifference. Their interaction is brief and emotionless, showing how people are often too preoccupied with their own lives to notice or care about someone else's pain. Later, three young men board Iona's cab. They are noisy, rude, and self absorbed. Iona once tries to share his grief, but they either ignore him or mock him. This encounter highlights the insensitivity of people, especially towards the pain of someone they consider unimportant. After failing to find a sympathetic ear among humans, Iona turns to his horse. He speaks to the animal, pouring out his sorrow. The horse listens silently, providing the comfort and the connection Iona desperately seeks. This moment is both heartbreaking and touching, showing how even a non human companion can offer the understanding that people fail to give. Chekhov uses the lament to explore themes of loneliness, grief, and the lack of empathy in society. Iona's attempt to share his pain reflect the universal human need for connection, while the cold reactions of those around him show how often people fail to meet this need. The story's simplicity makes its message even more powerful. Every individual's pain deserves acknowledgement and compassion. The Lament is a moving portrayal of one man's sorrow and society's failure to empathize. Through Iona's character, Chekhov encourages reader to reflect on their own ability to offer kindness and understanding to those in need. The story remains a timeless reminder of the importance of empathy and the human connection. Iona's repeated attempts to share his sorrow highlight the fundamental human need for connection. Whether through words or actions, individual seeks understanding and companionship, especially during challenging times. Iona's ultimate recourse to his horse for solace symbolizes this need, showing that even a silent presence can provide comfort when human connections fail. Anton Chekhov masterfully portrays Iona's solitude, using vivid imagery to contrast his inner turmoil with the bustling, unfeeling city. The story critiques the lack of empathy in society, where people are too consumed by their own lives to notice another's pain. The horse, in its simplicity, emerges as a symbol of silent companionship, highlighting humanity's failure to connect emotionally. Through the lament, Chekhov lays bare the universal struggle for connection, showing how grief, when ignored, becomes an unbearable burden. At the heart of the lament lies the theme of grief. Iona Potapov's overwhelming sorrow over the recent death of his son is the driving force of the story. Chekhov explores how loss can consume an individual, making ordinary life seem unbearable. Iona's repeated attempts to share his grief reflect the human need to express pain, but his failure to find a listener underlines the isolating nature of loss. The story shows that grief, if left unacknowledged, becomes an emotional burden that is nearly impossible to bear alone. The sad, old, grief-stricken Iona Potapov. Anton Chekhov masterfully portrays Iona's solitude against the bustling, indifferent backdrop of the city. Though surrounded by people, Iona is utterly alone, unable to find a single empathetic ear. His interactions with the officer, the young men, and even fellow cab drivers reinforces his sense of alienation. This theme speaks to the universal experience of feeling disconnected in a crowd, especially during times of emotional distress and turmoil. The story critiques society's apathy towards individual suffering. Each character Iona encounters represents a different facet of this indifference. Chekhov suggests that such insensitivity is not limited to specific individuals but is a pervasive flaw in human relationships. This theme is particularly poignant in highlighting the need for empathy and understanding in the social interactions. So, this is all about this beautiful short story, The Lament. Thank you very much for watching this beautiful video.